YouTube? Today I'm going to show you guys how to quick change out a radio and some speakers in a 1983 to 1988 Toyota Tercel. This applies to the wagons with the rear speakers in the back. All you need is really a screwdriver and a little bit of elbow grease. So let's go ahead and get our elbows all greased up. So realistically, all you guys are going to really need is Mountain Dew. I'm going to go with Spark flavor, but you guys can use your own flavor. A couple of speakers for the front and a couple of speakers for the rear. The fronts are 4s and the rears are 5.5s. This is going to be the adapter you're going to want if you use an aftermarket radio. And then we're going to be putting in a stock radio, one that has a cassette, because, you know, sometimes you just got to use cassettes. And this one I recall was working. It came out of my 84, the copper-colored Toyota Tercel that I had in several videos back, for those of you guys who have been watching for a while. And realistically, all you majorly need is Phillips head screwdrivers. You may need a flathead for the rears, but we'll get to that when we get there. So let's go ahead and knock this out and get it all taken care of. Driver side speaker, all you need to do is pull this little dial out right here. It's a Phillips head screw right here. A Phillips head screw there. Another one down over here. And then another one up top of there. So we'll go ahead and pull all 4 of those screws out. This actually will just pull straight out. Well, theoretically, sometimes you gotta use your big boy muscles. There we go. Got my big boy muscles out today. And the 2 screws over here. I can tell these have been in a while. So after the screws are out, if you have a tilt column, I would recommend tilting it all the way up, but that should only be applicable for 85s and newer. And then this should pull straight out. Come on, do that. There we go. See, there's a couple little tabs at the bottom that it was catching on. So you want to just kind of make sure you pull a little bit gingerly. And here's the factory speaker right here. Go ahead and pull these 2 screws out. And away will come the speaker. Easy as can be. And here's the factory connector. We're going to go ahead and pop this thing out. Just like so, by pulling this little tab back. For wiring these things up, see this little cutout right here? That's going to lead to the blue, which is the positive wire, and white is the ground or earth, depending on how you prefer. So I'm actually going to go a little bit further than what you could do. You could take the wiring that comes with the speaker kits you would buy and shove them inside of these connectors and make them work. But I'm going to cut it out and be able to so I can reuse this factory connector. So I guess I kind of lied when I said all you need is a screwdriver. My apologies. Admonish me in the word spot down below. That's totally fine with me. So anyway, we're going to snip this off. I'm going to run some butt connectors onto it and connect them to these wires on the back here, and then we'll go ahead and throw this in the car. Right, now that we got that connected, for installation, you basically just want to slide it back into the connector, and you might have to bend the tabs to fit right here, but all you need is 2 screws to hold it in. I guess you could pull that out and put a screw in there if you really, really wanted to, but they're 4-inch speakers. They're not going to shake that much. So let's go ahead and slap these in and move on to the other side real quick. Now the passenger side is thankfully a little bit easier. There is only 1 screw right here, and then another screw right inside of here. So let's go ahead and pop these off, and then we will go on to getting the passenger speaker done. This little panel should just kind of slide on out ever so gently. There's going to be 2 tabs at the top that kind of hold it in. Correction, there's a tab at the top. 2 screws holding the speakers in. So let's go ahead and pop these out. And once again, pull open this tab, and away she comes. All right, we are back, reconnected, and once again, you will have to bend this tab ever so slightly to fit up there to accommodate the angle where these speakers sit, but just a little bend's all you need. Nothing crazy. Alrighty, so for the rear, I got some Blaupunk speakers. They are made in Germany. I had to get them because I got some YouTube friends that are over in Germany, like in Volvo, and if I didn't buy speakers from a company completely unaffiliated with them, he'd run out of money and starve. So just looking out for you, homie. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and pop these up. They're pretty straightforward. You just kind of pry up on them. You want to get underneath this tab. There we go. Oh boy. Now that we're underneath this, we'll pop these things out. There we go. And And that is the rear speakers right here. So again, same thing. We're gonna go ahead and pop these out right here. Another connector right down here. These are connected like basically right to the rear speakers. This little tab right here, and they should, in theory, pop right out. There we go. So now for figuring out which speakers are positive and which are ground on the back side, you can see the little upright one with a little clip next to it is the positive, which coming up to this harness right here is the one that is all black. So the all black wire is positive and the one with the white stripe is the ground. So we're gonna go ahead and pop these off, and we're gonna go ahead and transport them over to these, and then drop the speaker back in. Once you get these ported over, you'll probably notice that they won't hold in place, and there's nothing for the screw to go in because the body of the old speakers are actually where those old screws go in. But most speaker kits will come with little clips like this, so I'm going to go ahead and drop those over there, and then just go ahead and thread these little these little screws inside of there to kind of hold those speakers in place. This back one was a little bit harder to get in place, but I did manage to get it. You could always just use a zip tie if you wanted to be focused, if you wanted to be extremely lazy, but I'm going to go ahead and be a little bit less lazy than normal, which is a surprise, and try to one-handed do this. Nice. One side down, the other side to go. There we go. Put the glue off this side. I'm gonna make sure I don't put these on backwards, because if I get it together and I realize that I had them flipped like this, I'm gonna feel like a real moron. So go ahead and flip this over right here. Put the clips on this side over here. This works and looks totally normal. All you true stereo heads out here are probably like, yeah, this is high quality stuff right here. This guy knows what he's doing. He's so good. Wow. Go ahead and throw a couple blade connectors on there, and then we're going to throw this in here. Remember, white is ground, all black is positive, which is totally normal for cars. It's totally normal. Don't even worry about it. So we'll go ahead and connect these in and drop this in place. These back in place, about like so. They're gonna kind of lean forward like this, and it's gonna project the sound all the way forward. Helps amplify that super bass. All right, now that we got the wire connected and this back in place, we'll go ahead and throw the cover back on, which is gonna kind of be reverse of how this is. So, and this one's totally gray, by the way. Don't even worry about the color change. They're 100% the same color. Awesome, there we go. Now underneath it, these screws will stick out a little bit, but they're not gonna stick out too far. You likely will never get anything quite dug up into where it sits. So up to you guys if you were to want to take care of it. Personally, wouldn't worry about it, but hey, there's no shame in cutting them off to keep yourself from getting hurt if you're dragging something out of here. So, little tidbit of advice from me to you. Now, since this other side's gonna be exactly the same, I'm not going to bother really recording anything. I'm going to go ahead and just pull it out and get it swapped up, and then we'll move forward to doing the radio, which is all the way up there. Now that we got the rear speakers all taken care of, we're going to pop underneath here and do the radio. Pull the radio out. There's 4 screws, 2 on each side in the exact same location for this outer cover. We'll go ahead and pop this one off, pop this one off. Off with you, and off with you. Access to pop this little bezel off, like so, and despite having cup holders, it still slides out. Next, it's gonna be 4 screws, 2 there, and 2 there, so we'll pop these out real quick. Now that we got the radio out, you want to just pop these 2 screws out of here and pop these 2 screws out of here, and that will pop this off at the bucket, and that'll move this over to here. Just going to screw basically in the same spot. I think you want to use these 2 over here for these two at an angle right there, but I actually think I'm gonna go ahead and pass on putting the cassette adapter in this thing. I know the cassette player did work, but I'm realistically just gonna use a Bluetooth FM transmitter, so really don't see the point in dealing with putting it all in, because it's just kind of a lot of extra work that I don't feel like doing, because I'm lazy. So, oops. Alrighty, got the screws swapped all over here, so we got this radio, should be ready to rock and roll. So we're gonna drop her down in here, quick reconnect it, put everything back together, and then we shall test it out. So don't forget to put in this for the radio antenna over here, and then the two connectors side by side, and you're good to go. And there we go, we should have power there. We got power here. I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way over to like 88.1, I would imagine this is. And now I'm gonna go ahead and play some music real quick and see how it sounds. Well, I would say that's a success, because this sounds amazing. I mean, maybe not amazing, it's 4-inch speakers, but way better than it does with blown speakers, so that's a bonus. And a radio that didn't really pick up any FM stations, which is what the old one did. So, thankfully the light seems to work okay in this one. I may end up throwing an aftermarket radio in at some point in time. We'll see. But for now, this is going to work great. So, that's really about it for it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Just a couple of screws, not a whole lot of time. If you got any questions, leave it down in the word spot, and I'll answer anything you got. So, anyway, appreciate you guys watching, and I will catch you later. Adios.